Moving now to the commemoration of the 8th anniversary of the Marikana massacre, which is being held in Midrand this year due to the COVID-19 regulations. This is the first time the day will not be observed at the scene of the killings, where 34 miners died. The Association for Mine Workers and Construction Union is hosting that event. Well, Newzroom Africa's Mnisi joins us from where the buses are departing to head to Johannesburg. A very good morning to you, Linda. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Now, earlier on, you were just giving us an overview of what we can expect for today. There was a bus where some of the widows were actually climbing on and getting ready to come to Johannesburg. But it seems as though you haven't left yet.
Well, indeed, the buses have left Marikana. They're headed to Johannesburg as we speak. In fact, we saw quite emotional scenes play out inside the buses, as the widows prepared themselves to go to Johannesburg. It is really an emotional day, one that really cuts deep as they remember their husbands who were brutally murdered in that copy. But of course, there continues to be reaction to these commemorations not being held here in the northwestern Marikana, but in Johannesburg. You'll remember at the time there was in fact a group of women called the Sikhala Sonke Women's Group who were in fact supporting the striking mine workers. They took on activities that would generate income to support the morale. They stood firmly behind the miners, and I've got with me one of the women who's founded the organization, Primrose Sonti. Primrose, thank you so much for your time. I mean, this year there's that whole conversation about the commemorations leaving the site where it happened. As a group that stood firmly with the miners, I mean, are you in support of this?
Yes, I can say I support, but it's sadly because of this lockdown. So the restrictions bind us. So there is no movement at all on our side. And you know, this day for us, it's painfully. More especially now, we are on 8 years. The Marikana massacre happened. But there is no changes at all. So as women of Marikana, which is the Sikhala Sonke group, we have a big concern. Our concern is straight, direct to the government, also in the mine industry. Because as you see, we are staying in the mine neighboring, but there's nothing. There's nothing for us. We are all crying as from 2012. And I can say even this 8 year, it's worse. There is a lack of water, there is no roads, there is no electricity, which is worse. The lawn mean it's gone, and then Sibanye, still water, took over. But I can say it's worse.
Have you tried to engage, the mine itself, given the fact that they are in fact binded by law to develop the communities where they mine?
You know, we've tried. Even during the long meantime, we were several times, me and my councillor went to the mine asking the management to help us, but it is the same. Even the Sibanye still water, we are normally always going there asking for the help, but I don't know. I don't know. You are so very painful.
Ma'am, so you've been a part of the leadership in this community and politically as well. I mean, in 2014, you joined the parliament as one of the members of the Economic Freedom Fighters, and I remember at the time you were the speaking voice for the people of Marikana, and you continue to be so. But what have you done in terms of pushing that agenda and letting, those in power know what the situation is like here on the ground here in Marikana, particularly for women?
It's still the same. I'm just barking like a dog, I can say. There is nothing changed. I spoke to the parliament, but, and I don't know, maybe is this a political party I am in? I don't know, but there is no response at all.
What do you think needs to be done now? I mean, are you saying you've spoken and you've given up?
Now the people must see and change their minds, because everybody can see. The democracy they talk about, it's like a joke. We just see the democrats or hear democrats from the TVs, but democrats on us here in Marikana, there's nothing.
Talk us through the struggles of the women in Marikana. I mean, in urban areas like Johannesburg, women are still subjected to discrimination and marginalization. But what exactly are the struggles of the women of Marikana in the 8th anniversary of the massacre?
They are still continuing in struggle. Even on the clinics, our clinics are not prepared to help the people. I've cried several times about the Wonerkop clinic. You know, the clinic of Wonerkop, they opened lately, but the people, more especially the women, they are carrying the babies at the back, waiting for the opening of the clinics outside the clinic. It's raining, it's not raining, it's cold, it's hot, it's the same. I normally wake up early here from my house, going to airport to catch my flight there. Around about 2 to 3 o'clock, the people are still there waiting for the opening of the clinic. And I've always complaining about that, but there's nothing changed.
You speak about issues of gender-based violence being on the rise in this community. But in terms of COVID-19, how is the community faring?
They are feeling badly. They are feeling badly because, you know, these restrictions that talk about our president. On those things talk about, for instance, they said we must be clean, we must eat the right food. First of all, there's no water, the first place. So how can I be clean without water? I'm not working. I don't have husband. I don't have nothing. How can I get that food, the healthy food? You know, everything for the woman here is fucked up. Everything. They're in struggle. And I don't know the solution.
Do you think that even that powers that be in this country have really ignored the plight of Marikana, given the fact that even till today, no one has been held accountable, but also no one is working to develop this community?
There is no one who wants to develop this Marikana, more especially after that massacre. There is no one who wants to develop this. And then number two, what is surprised me, this is the 8th year now, but there's nobody like the police, everybody who did that thing, the tragedy thing in that copy. There's no one who is accountable, or there's no one who is in jail, you know. There is no one. So I don't know the government, what is all about now. So the development, even, I don't think it will come. It will happen here in Marikana. Unless the people of Marikana, they can change. Because now the ruling party is failing us. It's failing us dismally. All
right, there you have it. Ma'am Primrose Sonti there from the Sikhala Sonke Women's Group, speaking about the plight of women of Marikana. This actually is the scene that she was painting for us. This is exactly what she was talking about, the issue of water, access to water, the protection of women in this community, the development and empowerment of the people that suffered as a result of the massacre, saying that there's very little development. Women are being subjected to gender-based violence and it is on the rise, and it continues to be on the rise. There is no level of policing. In fact, access to healthcare as well is a big problem. She speaks about making her pleas, or rather speaking in Parliament about these issues and raising them, but seemingly there isn't that will to assist. She also speaks about how she spoke to the mining company that took over Lonmin Sibanye Stillwater, but there hasn't been any development. The roads themselves will tell you exactly what it's like and what the conditions of the people of Marikana are going through. But of course, the brunt continues to be carried by the women. Leo?
Thank you very much. Our reporter Linda Mnisi coming to us live there from Marikana, the mining town, 8 years on after the massacre.